Hello, my name is Maura White, and today I will be discussing my topic for my case presentation for HCA 312, which is concerning staffing of nurses throughout California. So first of all, I will be discussing the three major pieces to staffing, and that includes recruitment, selection, and then retention. And I'll be going into the key differences between these three ideas, as well as how they work interdependently to create a cohesive working environment in a healthcare setting. So then I will develop these ideas a little bit further and apply them to effective staffing strategies. And lastly, I will highlight some key issues that the healthcare field is currently facing within California, as well as some solutions that have already started taking place, as well as some possible future solutions that I will apply towards the end. So first of all, we're going to explain a little bit more detail about these three pieces of staffing. So the first is recruitment, and that is recruitment is how an organization attracts qualified candidates to apply for their positions. So this would include attracting a large enough group in order for an organization to have a large pool to select from when considering both internal or external employees. So the internal recruitment is going to be when you pull from an employee that's already working for you. This would be when you promote an employee already in your company. And then external sourcing is, of course, when you pull an employee that is outside of the company to come work for you as a new employee. So internal sourcing is great for encouraging current employees towards a goal. You're showing them that there is room for them to grow within your organization and really giving them some motivation. Well, external sourcing is a great idea if you want to bring a new, fresh perspective into your organization. So next is selection, and selection is the process of actually physically choosing those employees that you want to come work for you. So this relies heavily on a descriptive job description that entails every little aspect of the job in order to ensure that the employee has the right qualifications to complete the job to your satisfaction and to their satisfaction. So lastly, there's going to be retention. Retention is, of course, the last most continuous step of recruitment, and it's the process of staffing, and it's the process of maintaining your employees once you've hired them. So offering attractive whole life benefits, especially when a salary that you can provide maybe not as competitive, so you can't pay them as much as some of your competitors can. You still want top of the line staff. So this is where you can offer things like really great health insurance packages, flexible hours, and even more vacation time is a great way to really retain these employees once you've hired them. So next I will be discussing a case issue centered around some of the struggles of staffing nurses within California, and this is a real life struggle that has actually currently taking place. So this is one of the largest issues seen in staffing in today's healthcare field, and this is the overall feelings of discontent many nurses feel as they feel they're overworked and they put far too much pressure on in general in the healthcare setting. So this has actually led to one out of every 5 new nurses leaving the profession within just 12 months of starting. This obviously is leading to retention rates in hospitals severely suffering as these pools of nurses have shrunken and shrunken and shrunken for them to choose from. So until recently, there's very little to no regulations on healthcare when concerning nurse to patient ratios. And this is actually the largest issue that these feelings of discontent often stem from. A nurse to patient ratio is literally how many nurses you have hired to care for every number of patients that you have. So this has left many nurses feeling very overwhelmed, like they can't properly care for their patients with the limited time, energy, and resources that they're able to designate to each patient because they have far too many. So this has proven to be directly correlated to a high risk of patient infections, greater number of medical errors, and even a greater number of falls and deaths overall in hospitals. So this has left a gap for employers in recruitment and selection policies because, like I said, these employment pools have shrunken as more nurses leave the field. So the case solution, and this is actually a real life example. So this has already taken place. This is something that's already happened. New legislation it was originally introduced in Sacramento, California in 2004 to address these issues. And it mandates a specific ratio per department of on-duty nurses per specific number of patients in acute care hospitals throughout California. So this just means that they're requiring a certain amount of nurses to be on staff for every so many patients, depending on, of course, the department. So, for example, the trauma department has a ratio of now of 1-to-1. So for every one patient, there must be one nurse. However, with smaller departments or departments that need less hand-on attention, 24/7 attention, like well baby nursing, is a 1-to-8 ratio. So since then, there have been 11 other states also passing similar legislation, which is not as many as they originally intended to, but it is a good stepping stone to kind of pave the way for these other states to take place. These studies that have gone on since then have proven that this has significantly improved patient outcomes in hospitals altogether. And this has also led to some new arising issues that also involve staffing with nurses, because there's an increase in staffing requirements now and recruitment numbers. It's even more important for organizations to utilize good staffing strategies. So an example I found is actually the #1 hospital in Sacramento, California, which is the University of Davis Medical Center. And what they utilize, because obviously all these hospitals now need to have much more nurses on staff, there's still a smaller pool of nurses to choose from, so they really have to up their game in order to have qualified nurses and to really maintain them for retention. So what they've done is they have used a really great focus on recruitment. So their recruitment page, they actually have an entire website dedicated to specifically nurse recruitment. And you can find for each department, there is attractive benefits. There's, of course, you can find the salaries there, but there's also things like information about the teaching hospitals and teaching opportunities and employments and going to foreign countries, all these kinds of things to really pull in these nurses. And this is just a great real life example of how these three processes, so it's not just recruitment, it's not just obviously choosing your employees, and it's not just retention, but all of these three things working together to put this one hospital above the rest. And now it's the only nationally ranked hospital in all of Sacramento. So this just proves that these three things need to work together cohesively in order to attract the few nurses that are there and then keep them and keep the amount of qualified nurses to meet these nurse to patient ratios. So like I said, all three of these things need to work together effectively. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I know I did. Thank you so much.